This is Keep On Cooking, a podcast for people who love cookbooks and want to know more about the authors. It's also a great place to get a weekly dose of culinary inspiration to keep things pumping in the kitchen. So grab a cookbook and keep on cooking. I'm Dustin Harder, and this is Keep On Cooking. Hello, and welcome to Keep On Cooking, the only podcast dedicated to plant-based cookbooks. I'm your host, Dustin Harder, and butter my biscuit and watch me crumble. Look who decided to show up. He's back again. It's the one and only David Rossetti. How you doing, darling?
I'm good. Do I sound different?
You walk different.
Because I have 50% less meniscus in my knee.
That's right.
It sounds different. Who is this?
Who is this? Who is this?
What if I randomly had an accent? After the surgery, it's like, hello. What?
Hello.
What do you look? Hello. What are you looking
just
at?
say knee surgery.
My ACL.
Oh, well,
It's
everybody, David is back. He has been
Yes.
recovering. He was unable to hobble to the microphone, but we got you back here now.
Yeah, I could do it. My knee would have to stay straight. It starts throbbing.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
Yeah. So we were patient in getting you back here.
Correct.
And I know everyone's happy to hear your dulcet tones
Oh, yes.
over the microphone.
Especially with my new meniscus-free
Yes,
vocals.
yes. But everyone, David is doing great. He's here, alive and well. He is returning. And we also have a fabulous return guest today that I'm very excited about. Bailey Ruskus, a.k.a. Chef Bai. Hey. She is here to talk about her new book, her second book, Breaking Up with Dairy, 100 Indulgent Plant-Based Recipes for Cheese and Butter, Cream, and Milk Lovers everywhere. But before we dive into that, what's coming up, you ask? Well, a new book on the horizon we want to tell you about is Plant-Based Simple, 150 delicious, whole food, nutrient-dense recipes for healthy living. That's coming April 15th, 2025. You can pre-order it now. Plant-Based Simple is your ultimate guide to improved health, clean eating, and sustainable approach to food. Packed with delicious, easy-to-make recipes, this cookbook empowers you to start your meat-free journey with confidence and excitement. Whether you're tackling a busy weeknight or hosting a weekend feast, Plant-Based Simple has you covered. From hearty breakfast to delectable vegetarian burgers, these recipes are quick, satisfying, and designed to please even the pickiest eaters. Embracing a diet rich in greens, beans, fruits, and grains, this inspiring cookbook makes it simple to enjoy meat-free cooking. Whether you're a newbie or a seasoned vegetarian, that's the Amazon description. Let's say seasoned vegan. Plant-Based Simple gives you tasty, easy-to-make, vegetable-based recipes that promote a healthy lifestyle for you and the planet. So here's how I know this book is vegan. It's a third my book, everybody. It's got a third of the book is my recipes. Another third is Jackie Soban recipes from Vegan Yak Attack. And another third of the recipes are Allison Kramer. You might say I have a new cookbook coming out, but you only see my name, I think, one place in the book, and it's on the inside cover. It just says recipes by, me, Jackie, and Allison, essentially.
But it's still in there. That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, let's say I've got a fifth book coming out, everybody. And what it is the publisher compiled recipes from popular books to make one wonderful volume of recipes. So it's got a variety of recipes in there from my books, Epic Vegan, both the first Epic Vegan and the second Epic Vegan. It's got recipes from Jackie Soban's collection of books with that publisher. She's got 3 books out with them, and she's been on the podcast. You've heard her on the episode talk about those books. And then recipes from Allison Kramer as well. And again, this book is called Plant-Based Simple, 150 delicious whole food nutrient-dense recipes for healthy living. It's coming out April 15th, 2025, and you can pre-order it now. I have an advanced copy. It is beautiful. It has great photos and all that good stuff. So get your hands on it now.
Get your hands on it. So that is a new book on the horizon we wanted to get your eyes for. But now it's time for No Reason Not to Know Something.
Get your eyes for? We wanted to get your eyes for.
I want to get your eyes for. So pre-order that now. But now it's time for No Reason Not to Know Something.
That's right.
So we asked Google, when did the dairy industry become evil?
Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. This ties in because the book, Breaking Up with Dairy.
Here's what it said. The dairy industry turned dark when small farms gave way to the factory farming in the mid 20th century. Government subsidies and marketing campaigns fueled overproduction, price manipulation, and shady lobbying. The introduction of RBGH in the 80s increased milk yields, but worsened animal suffering and raised health concerns. Today, factory farms confine cows in cruel conditions, forcing constant pregnancies while separated newborns within hours. While separating newborns within hours of birth.
And if this is your first peek into the dark side of dairy, you are probably saying, what the heck is RBGH? That is recombinant bovine growth hormone. It is a genetically engineered hormone developed to increase milk production in cows, approved by the FDA in 1993. It forces cows to produce up to 15% more milk, but also leads to higher rates of infections, lameness, and other health issues. Due to animal welfare and potential human health concerns, many countries, including Canada and Europe, have banned its use, but it's still legal in the US. Many dairy brands now label their products as RBGH free due to consumer backlash.
Yes. And why we did that question is because today's guest has written a book that will help people make the switch to a dairy-free lifestyle without sacrificing flavor. And that book, again, is Breaking Up with Dairy, 100 indulgent plant-based recipes for cheese and butter, cream and milk lovers everywhere.
Cheese can be the breaking point that keeps many from breaking up with dairy, because let's face it, dairy is delicious. In Breaking Up with Dairy, Chef Bai shares over 100 unbelievable plant-based dairy recipes, including recipes that mimic beloved cheeses like Gorgonzola, young Gruyere, pepper jack, Parmesan, and more, along with recipes to use all those fabulous dairy-free cheeses in. Chef Bai proves that breaking up with dairy doesn't have to feel like a loss with these mouth-watering substitute dishes.
Because we've all heard that phrase, right?
Oh,
I could be
my
vegan,
gosh.
but just
I
not
just
the
love my cheese. And
Just
I'm like,
always.
just really dig into what's in that cheese and you will
Correct.
not love it anymore.
Watch some videos, have
Oh
some
my
fun with
gosh.
that. But back to Chef Bai.
Yes.
She is a seasoned chef, holistic nutritionist, and health coach. She's classically trained at Le Cordon Bleu, which I just love to say,
That was good.
in San Francisco. She uses her culinary expertise too much to create rich flavors with clean, nourishing ingredients. She is an advocate for people with chronic health ailments, animal welfare, and the environment. Her own plant-based journey started with her desire to heal her chronic pain from an 18-year battle with endometriosis.
Yeah.
After I was second guessing myself and then I balked, but endometriosis.
You got it.
Endometriosis.
Yeah.
After exhausting all other options.
She furthered her studies with a certification in plant-based nutrition from the Center of Nutrition Studies and is a certified health coach from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. She works with coaches, top executives, professional athletes, and helps everyday people heal from chronic illness through delicious food knowledge, and a healthy mindset. Now, listen, I love this human a boatload. I'm always excited to have her on to chat. We always end up staying on the call for at least 30 minutes after we stop recording. I adore her that much. And listen, if you want to meet her in person, we allude to this in this episode, but the dates and locations are out for the Breaking Up with Dairy book tour. I will list them in the show notes. And if you're in Chicago, my babies, I will be at the tour stop here this Thursday night, 2:13 at Williams-Sonoma here in Chicago, hanging out with Chef Bai. So come see her. And of course, I'd love to say hi to you too. Here she is to tell us all how we can break up with dairy. It's Chef Bai. She helps people thrive and heal health ailments using insanely delicious plant-based recipes. It's the fabulously talented, compassionate, and smart Chef Bai. Welcome back to Keep On Cooking, my dear.
Hi, how are you? I'm so excited to be here.
I'm great. It's so good to see you and have you back on the podcast to talk about this brand new book you have coming up. But before we do that, you have your icebreaker question. So if your life had a soundtrack, what song would you be playing during this season of your life?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. Honestly, less of a song, more of a genre.
Okay.
So I am really into like surf rock. Do you know what that is?
Not real. I mean, I love the sound of it. What would I know
like,
something of it?
I'll send, you know what, everyone listening, I'm going to make a playlist and I'll send it to you so we can like all listen together. That's probably it. Yeah, I love surf rock. I live in San Diego, so that's my husband's a surfer, and we're always like on our golf cart and just cruising around, and that's totally my season. But I will say, now I'm going on a tangent. I'm obsessed with Sabrina
Please.
Carpenter.
Ugh,
Obsessed. Like the
love.
obsession is so ridiculous. Even I've gotten my husband obsessed with her because I'm just so
I did
into
the same.
it. Yeah. So when, her little song, like I'm working late because I'm an
The singer.
author.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, that's been my life
That
lately.
is exactly right. Yeah, did you watch her Christmas special?
Of course.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just every I don't and to me, I know she's been around for a long time, but for
Yeah.
me, it felt like I was like, "Who's this person? What's going on right now?" And then I was in the moment. I was like, "Great, I'm here for it."
She's so revamped. And I just love her story because it just goes to show that like an overnight success is never built overnight, you
That's
know?
right. That's right. Did you
That's a
see
banger.
what is it? Short and Sweet? Is that the name of the
I didn't
album?
go to the tour.
I didn't know there was a tour until I started seeing like posts about it, and I
I
was like,
really
I
wanted
would have
to.
went to this. I
The
would have like
tickets were like $500 though.
I probably would not have gone to that then.
No.
But that's no shade on her. It's shade on
What
tickets
a
and
girl.
concerts these
Mhm.
days. Like
I
it's
know.
so disappointing. My husband and I just got tickets to we've wanted to go see a show at Red Rocks forever. And
Love Red Rocks.
you're from Colorado,
I
right?
am. Yeah,
Have
I'm
you
from
seen a show
Boulder.
at Red Rocks?
Have I what?
Seen a show at Red Rocks then?
Like
Bunches of times.
50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To you,
Yeah.
it's like not it's a backyard
It
thing.
was the tour. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was the venue. It was the place to go.
I love that. We've been looking at, the people, the lineup for the last like 4 or 5 years, I think. And it just was never anything where we're like, yeah, we want to pay
It
money to like
hasn't been that
fly
good
out.
lately. Yeah.
It's kind of like random, right? And
Mhm.
then the Indigo Girls just announced another leg of their tour with Melissa Etheridge, and I saw Morris in Colorado on there, and I was like, is that? It didn't say Red Rocks, and I was like, is that Red Rocks? And then like we got tickets, and they were only like they were less than $200 a ticket,
Oh
and I
yeah.
was shocked. Like I was like, I don't even know, I didn't know I could pay less than $200 a ticket for a concert these
Yeah.
days.
Red Rocks is not expensive, actually.
That's amazing. We're
Traditionally.
very excited.
If there's yoga on the rocks that
Oh,
weekend that you're there, you have to go. It's so amazing.
that's so cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Well, since you did a genre, I will also do a genre. My genre right now is new disco. If I had
Oh, yes.
it just kind of is like if I'm walking down the street or like I just need to like pump myself up a little bit, but like not have it be rock or like pop. New
Yeah.
disco just like really hits the
Honestly, I
spot.
fuck with disco so hard.
It's
Like
so good.
so hard. Like that's gonna be the playlist at our book lunch party here in San Diego. So
Oh,
yeah.
yes. I love it. Oh,
I
that's
almost want
so
to take
great.
your answer now for mine.
Well, I'm gonna find you, if you can think of a surf rock playlist that you love, send it to me and I will include that link in
I
the show
will.
notes here so
I
people can
will.
get a little taste of the surf rock life as
Love
well.
it. Little meal prep playlist.
Oh, yes, exactly. Well, Chef Bai is a return guest on Keep on Cooking, listeners. So you can check out her first episode where we dig into her history with cooking and her story a little more in depth. And that's episode 76, where we also chat through her first outstanding book that has become beloved by many. And that's Cook, Heal, Go Vegan. But today, we're here to talk about her brand new book, Breaking Up with Dairy: 100 Indulgent Plant-Based Recipes for Cheese and Butter, Cream, and Milk lovers everywhere. Now, we're actually recording this just a couple days into the new year, but it is being released on your actual pub day, February 11th. So, kind of happy pub day, my dear.
Thanks. Yeah, it's also my birthday week too.
Work. Look at that.
So it's all working out.
Great. Yeah, it's all working out. Great birthday week to have. Well, tell us about where the idea of this book comes from, Breaking Up with Dairy.
Oh my gosh. I mean, really the whole concept of the book came from a very viral TikTok series that made my first cookbook a sensation kind of overnight. And the first episode of Breaking Up with Dairy was a mac and cheese recipe that just went so viral. It was my first mega viral video. People were just, it was so controversial because people were just like either so upset about it or so in love with it. Like everyone was either really intrigued or really offended. But it garnered so many views and I was so overwhelmed because at the time when my first book came out, I was really more of a chef. I wasn't a creator. And so I was very like baby in TikTok world and Instagram. And, I didn't really have a big following, and I was just kind of like posting videos, having no idea what I was doing, had major imposter syndrome when it came to posting on socials. And that video kind of just sparked so much for me. I was like, wow, this is really powerful. I didn't realize this concept of breaking up with dairy would be so crazy for so many people. So then I just made it a series and I started posting. I think the series has like 100 videos on it now and like hundreds of millions of views, and people just go nuts for it. And so that was really the inspiration. But, that was kind of like the fuel behind wanting to write it and knowing that there was proof of concept and that people would really love it. But also the inspiration was just like my halfway between like my toxic love affair with cheese and all of my toxic ex-boyfriends like wrapped into one, because I know how hard it is to break up. And honestly, before I went vegan, before I broke up with dairy, before I found my husband, I was in a incredibly toxic relationship with a narcissist who was cheating on me and like made my whole life it made me question everything about myself. And I, at the same time, was in the worst episodes of my chronic illness journey. And those two things were very much related. And it was very hard for me to walk away, not only from the man, but from the lifestyle that was attached with that man. So, I think it's hard to date. It's hard to, navigate dating. It's also hard to navigate having chronic illness and living in a world where, agriculture and food and our healthcare system and wellness and like all of this stuff has just so much misinformation and just makes us feel all so confused. So, I really wanted to just like write this book for my younger self in a way, but also for all the people that feel like trapped between all these different things coming at them, but know, what really good path forward to healing and like our environment and all that stuff is to break up with dairy. So that's really where it comes from.
Yeah, and I mean, just the sort of the parallel world of breaking up with dairy and breaking up with a human in life, right? Like the things that keep you coming back to toxic environments and all of those things like that. And so you really sort of explore what it is to break up with something in this book, right? And you know, speaking of it going off that viral video, it's like that hits because obviously it was something that resonates with people. So this can really speak to people. This is a topic that people really struggle with when they are considering going vegan, and it's like, oh my cheese, and it's like, oh my gosh. And I say oh my gosh like that, like, oh, I'm so sick of hearing it, but it's like, that's why we're here, right? Like, at least I feel my purpose, and I sense yours is as well, is to help people when they say that. But it gets daunting after, I've been doing this for a decade in the plant-based world, and you hear the, oh, but I can't live without my cheese. And sometimes you're just like, I can't hear that one more time. But what helps me now is when someone so wonderful like yourself writes a book like this called Breaking Up with Dairy, when I can say, I understand completely. Chef Bai has written a book that you need to read, and you start the book off in chapter 1 with the 5 stages of breaking up: denial, bargaining, anger, depression, and acceptance. So tell us a bit about what these stages look like when it comes to breaking up with dairy.
Yes. I mean, it's very similar to breaking up with a person. I think it's almost harder to break up with something in your lifestyle than it is to a person, because it's almost part of that relationship with yourself and making those commitments to yourself, which I think is really hard. And before I got into any of the recipes, I really wanted to acknowledge that, because I feel like as consumers, people have such a hard time because we are so confused by wellness industry, because we are constantly being advertised to, because the dairy checkoff program is a literal program that exists to get people more addicted to dairy. Like it is in our government structure to get people addicted to dairy, which then benefits the pharmaceutical industry, which then benefits, the chemical companies. Like they're all connected. And I don't think people really realize how sickening the dairy industry is, why it is one of the most cruel, disgusting, most horrible industries on the planet, honestly, because it really just funds all of this nonsense that's happening within our government. I mean, and it's one of those things, it's like to really think about, why are children being advertised milk in schools when it's the only thing that legally they're allowed to be advertised to in public schools is milk? Why is that? Like, why does that happen? Answering all these questions to be like, look, you know, you're this way because they made it this way. There's nothing actually wrong with you. It's the industry. Like you are purposely made addicted to this drug, which is cheese, right? It's just as bad as the tobacco lobby, it's just as bad as the alcohol lobby. And so that's why I really wanted to touch on this, because, you know, I could have easily written like a super Martha Stewart-y, like dairy-free book, but it's so much deeper than that. And I think we're getting to this point where we're all, I mean, what we've seen in general in the last couple of years, especially since the pandemic, with this last election, no matter what happened, what you agree with, the thing that I noticed the most is that people want to see change. And I think sometimes it's misinformed the way people go about it, but people want change. People are sick of the way things are. People are sick of insurance premiums. People are sick of just this whole system. And I think the dairy industry is such a perfect example of how the system is just fooling everybody. And so I kind of wanted to like pull back that layer and show people that the dairy industry is such a huge part of the system. You know, people think that, you know, raw milk is having, oh, this renaissance. And it's like, no, raw milk is just an easier way for the dairy industry to profit off of you because they don't have to pasteurize their milk. Like this whole raw milk thing was funded by the dairy industry, which gets funded by the pharmaceutical companies, which gets funded by the chemical companies. Like it's all connected. So that's really what this was about, was education, because the more we can get educated, the more we can have that acceptance, which is the final stage. And going through denial, anger, all that stuff, especially anger, that phase of anger really comes through once you really like allow yourself to see what's going on, because then you get pissed. You're like, how have I just been so disillusioned by this? And I think feeling these feelings and allowing yourself to be upset and allowing yourself to go through it and understand is such a great way to get to the other side and be okay with making that change and following those commitments to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about you writing this book specifically is that you have such a voice that it will resonate with people. You're just the style you're telling it already, breaking up with dairy, those words alone, right? There's such truth to that because there are these stages that you're going to have, and the getting pissed off is a real thing. The anger is a real thing once you really start to realize what our system is about. And it's so broken and so flawed and so built that way to screw us over so that things are in a secular motion, you know, and it's just sickness over and over and over. And different people, different things resonate for different people, different voices resonate for different people. So I think it's very important that you specifically wrote this book, because I think it's going to get to some people who might not hear it. They might see it or think about it or get it in some other fashion, but I think some people are really going to pay attention to you specifically. So I really love your voice is sharing this with people. And when you think of these stages, is there one that sticks out the most for you in the 5 stages when you were breaking up with dairy?
I think denial. Denial is the first one. And I say in the book, you know, denial is comfortable, which is why people often stay in it forever. Because as long as you're in denial, you don't have to educate yourself. You don't have to look around. You don't have to have conversations about it. You don't have to make hard choices. If you're in denial, which most people are, you're comfortable. And I think, I don't know, people are exhausted, and I get where people are coming from. You know, I genuinely think that veganism needs a rebrand, which is another reason why I wrote this book in the way that I did, because part of the reason why people are in such denial about it is because I think they're also used to seeing like angry vegans and this idea of perfectionism, and realizing that like, oh, if I break up with dairy or if I go vegan, I have to be perfect. And I think it's this idea that like, you don't have to be perfect. You can step out of denial and take steps forward and make small changes every single day to really push yourself out of that phase, because that phase is the one that I think is so hard to get out of. It's easy once you kind of get through it and you start educating, you can kind of like, you know, move through it. But to get out of denial and to really go into the next phase and to really educate yourself is so challenging. So I really want to support people and just let people know that like, I get why it's so hard and there's nothing wrong with you. It's the industry, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I do, you know, it's interesting when you say denial, because there's still things, you know, as I've been vegan for a long time, but it's hard to face all of it. Like it's exhausting, like you say. And if I really do think about all the terrible things that are happening, I can't get out of bed in the morning, you know? So there's like a bit of denial that's almost like protective, right? But you got to get past some of it so you can at least start maybe like taking care of yourself at least, which is ultimately like helping the rest of the world, helping other people if we all make those baby steps, right? And the idea of perfectionism is wild too. So for you, when you broke up with dairy, was this overnight for you or was it bit by bit?
No, not at all. It was it was honestly my husband, who was just my casual boyfriend at the time, always yelling at me because I would go and have a cheese board and get so sick. And he'd be like, "Bae, why are you doing this? Like, you're so sick all the time." So yeah, no, it was little by little. It took me about an entire year. I was vegetarian for a long time. When I was in culinary school at Le Cordon Bleu when I was 18, which feels like forever ago because I kind of was. It was 15 years ago. I literally can't. But when that was going on, you know, I was in the butchery. I was doing all sorts of stuff. My grandfather was a butcher. And I think, you know, I also went to a slaughterhouse as part of culinary school. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, horrifying.
Wow.
And that made me vegetarian. I was like, okay, or pescatarian, vegetarian leaning. So I was vegetarian for a really long time because I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. But I just was like so obsessed with cheese and lattes and like, you know, San Francisco, going to Napa all the time. Like that was really my thing back in the day. And so it was really hard for me to kind of like imagine going full vegan because I had already kind of done that with going vegetarian, you know, especially as a classically French trained chef. I'm constantly trying to, as a woman, a young woman, I was constantly trying to prove myself to like all the men. Even still in comment threads, people are like, "You're not a real chef. Like, please." I'm like, why? Is it the hair? You know, is it the eyebrows? No, I'm just kidding.
It's the brows. It's the brows. Side joke, everybody. We got a side joke about brows going on.
But so that was kind of it. It was hard for me to conceptualize like fully going plant-based because it's so easy to make things taste good with animal fat. And one of the easiest sources of animal fat to use in recipes is cream and butter. So really getting away from that is kind of like, oh, what am I going to do? If I'm going to tell people I'm now a vegan chef, no one's going to take me seriously. So that was hard for me on multiple levels, personally and professionally. And also remembering, is what I talk about in this chapter too, is that they harnessed the idea of you being a little baby, needing your mom's milk and having that comfort blanket that just washes over you, all that dopamine, all that just like warm, fuzzy feelings. The dairy industry has found a way to profit off of your need for safety and security, which is what you feel when you eat dairy, specifically cheese, because cheese is just like compounded milk fat, right? So they're literally profiting off of that. So it's hard to feel safe when you give something up that makes you feel safe. You can't really figure out why it makes you feel so safe.
Yeah. Wow. That makes so much sense.
Right?
Yeah. Wow.
So then all of a sudden you give up cheese and you give up dairy and you're feeling unsafe. You're feeling unhinged because you're literally detoxing off of breast milk for the first time in your life as an adult.
And you think about it, it's the first thing that likely brought you comfort when you entered the outside world. They stuck a nipple in your mouth of some sorts and said, "Here you go," you know?
Cheese is just formula repackaged. Truly, with less sugar. Honestly.
My goodness. Well, you talk about finding the perfect match in chapter 2. So what does the process look like in finding the perfect match when breaking up with dairy?
This is all about like out with the old and in with the new. So it's really like restocking your pantry, learning how to read nutrition labels, like finding the perfect dairy-free thing that works for you too, because not everyone's going to like cashew milk. Not everyone's going to love soy milk. So it's finding like your groove throughout. And it really goes through kind of just like what to stock your pantry with. I think the funnest part about dairy-free recipes is that a lot of stuff is shelf stable. So it's a lot of like nuts and seeds and spices and things like that that are really easy to buy in bulk, and they're easy to hang on to for a long time so that it doesn't go bad quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you have a yes, it does make sense. Did you have what was your I've had different perfect matches. Like my original perfect match was soy milk, and now over the years it's actually become almond milk, which still shocks me because I used to hate almond milk and now it's like one of my favorites. And then depending on what I'm using it for, I might lean on oat milk for something. But what was your like first perfect match when it came to like, let's say milk?
Cashew milk.
Yeah, you wanted that rich and creamy, luscious, delicious honey.
Yeah, I wanted it to just stick on the
Yes.
palate. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Mhm.
Cashews are just, I mean, cashews are
They're
nature's
magic.
antidepressant. So it also gives you a little bit of happy boost in your brain. So if you're trying to like switch over, cashews is a really good option for that. But honestly, I had the opposite thing happen. So I never really drank soy milk, and I discovered Trader Joe's organic soy milk.
Okay.
And it's just soybeans and water. It's organic, and it's $2.99, which is cheap in the vegan milk world.
I mean, truly.
I'm obsessed with it.
Really?
I mean, it's 11 grams of protein per 8 ounces.
Now I need to go back to that soy milk maybe. One of the reasons I used to drink soy milk was because I wanted the protein, but then I'm over on oat milk now because I'm like, oh, the calories may be a little less, but now I'm like, maybe I want my soy milk back because of the protein. I may
The
be switching it up
protein, I can't
again.
get over it. And also, I'm still a cashew milk. It just is so easy to make, you know.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
in the cookbook, I have a no strain almond milk, which
You sure do.
it's for the
Absolutely.
almond milk people. I loathe almond milk usually because most almond milks have so much gum and filler in them, and to make it at home is a pain in the butt. So
Yep.
I wanted
I
to make it
hated it. I used to hate almond milk.
I know, but it is really good. Like
Yeah.
oftentimes if I'm out and about and I'm getting a latte and I know there's going to be fillers in every type of plant-based milk, I'm going to get the almond milk because
Well, and also when you get coffee, listeners, if you're not into this yet, and maybe you'll tell me I'm wrong, but what I've realized is when I go to coffee shops, they're all using that barista blend, which is not like I'm not just getting like oat milk or almond milk. It's like oat plus maybe a little coconut and a little like all these fillers and like
so
lots
much
of like
oil.
fat and sugar in there, you know, and it's like which
Mhm.
is why you get your coffee and then you're kind of like, oh, maybe I do like oat milk, you know, if you're not somebody who typically has it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and you also like all the sugar and oils and fillers and everything else that is in it as
Yeah.
well. So
Well, that's why oat milk gets a bad rap because of all the fillers that are in some of the oat milks. And you know, the seed oil police have come for it. That's
sure.
for a different podcast.
Yeah, yeah. The police are always there. The police are always there. Well,
Seed oil
we
police.
are talking about chapter 3 now. We've talked about it a little bit, gone into Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk, featuring a plethora of scratch-made milks from basics like no strain almond milk, which we told you about there, and the more adventurous like blood orange ice cream milk and vanilla nut nog. What are a couple items in this chapter for you that were an absolute must?
I think, you know, something that was really important for me was people with food allergies. So, you know, dairy is the number one food allergy in the world, with 68% of people allergic to dairy. And a lot of the people who are going to buy this book aren't vegan, they're just dairy free, or they know somebody who is. And with that in mind, I wanted to really, you know, have people with other food allergies feel seen through this book as well, because I think that is a big reason why people don't buy vegan cookbooks, because there's a lot of cashews or there's a lot of soy or whatever. So I just wanted to make sure that there was nuts and seeds and soy and grains and like all sorts of things that people could use to make their milk, so that every single person could find their perfect plant-based milk alternative. And that was something that I really, really wanted to do. But also just like perfecting oat milk. You know, if you blend oat milk for too long, it turns into a slimy, disgusting mess. So there's like all these little hacks that I wanted to put in there so that no matter what kind of milk you wanted to make, you could make it.
Yeah, you've got people covered, and everyone, she is not lying. That oat milk will turn into a slimy, disgusting mess. I've been there. I've seen it for myself.
Did you read the intro for the oat milk?
No, I haven't. I haven't. Do you talk about it in there then?
Yeah, I say something along the lines of, usually if it's a red flag if something only lasts for 7 seconds. But in this case, it's the perfect amount of time.
Nailed it. See what I'm saying? You have a voice that will resonate with people. They're going to get it.
So funny. My editor was like, I love it. We have to keep that in.
That's the editor you want. That's the response you want.
Yeah,
that's
she's
what
awesome.
you want.
Yeah.
I had my third book. I named one of the chapters Netflix and Chill, and I got so much pushback on it. And I was like, how am I paired with you? How are we months into this and you're telling me that's a problem? Because
You're
it's
like, do
like,
you even know me?
yeah, it's like, that is not an issue. I was like, there's many other things I could say that are an issue, and that is not one of them.
Like what I
Um,
just said.
I don't see that as an issue. I see it as perfection. Speaking of perfection, we got lots of good stuff in here: granola milk, pistachio milk, black sesame seed milk, Lazy Girls barista soy milk. Tell me about that.
Well, I'm too lazy to make traditional soy milk. So that's just facts. I am a professional chef, but I'm also just like, I don't have time for that kind of thing. I'm
Yeah,
like most
heard.
people. I just want things to be quick and easy and
Mhm.
delicious. And so this is a way to use silken tofu and turn it
Right.
into an amazing milk that's perfect for lattes.
I love that. I
Yep.
love that. So
And it's
good.
high protein, which we love.
We do love that.
Mhm.
We do love that. And we've also got all things horchata in here, amaretto coffee creamer, instant single serving chocolate milk and hot chocolate. Who doesn't want that? Sweetened condensed oat milk, no way chocolate protein powder, and hibiscus refresher. And this takes us into chapter 4. It's the cheese of it all here, titled The One You Can't Live Without, with great alternatives to dairy laden cheese, featuring delectable and approachable recipes for some really great items in here, like herbed farmer cheese, high protein cottage cheese, cream cheese, the family size cheddar block, pourable mozzarella, pepper jack. So many great things in here. So cheese, Chef Bay, what is a cheese you couldn't live without in this chapter that became your life's mission to recreate?
Oh my gosh. Where do I even start? This chapter almost killed me, to be honest.
Oh,
This chapter was like, oh my God, it almost, broke up me and my husband. No, I'm just kidding. But
but things got stressful. Things
there
got
was blood, sweat,
tense.
and tears. Okay.
Yes. Don't worry. My husband's got stories. It's okay.
Well, it's hard when you're writing something together and you
Uh-huh.
keep trying recipes and they're not working. And,
Yeah.
I did a lot of research
Especially cheese.
on, especially cheese, on regular cheese making, also dairy-free cheese making, because there's a lot of books out there. And the thing that I noticed the most was that a lot of these cookbooks and a lot of the recipes out there use ingredients people never want to use, like Rejuvelac and stuff like that. And so I wanted, and also have fermentation times of like 6 days or 3 months or whatever. And I just was like, this is so unrealistic. Most people go to the grocery store and they buy cheese off the shelf.
Yes.
So how can we make it almost that easy?
Thank you.
Like
Thank you.
literally no one
Exactly.
is going to
Yeah.
ferment a cheese for 6 months. Like nobody's going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
I first got in when I first started making, not that I make vegan cheese on the regular, but when I first started like playing with it and everything, it was the Rejuvelac of it all and everything. And I was like, what exactly is happening here? Like, I know it's happening, but like, is it done? It stinks a lot. I guess it's ready. I don't know. And then like the process then of making the cheese next, that's like another day or two. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why didn't I just go buy the vegan cheese at the market at this point? Like, I will spend the extra money to order it from Rebel Cheese and have them
literally, I'll
send
pay
it to my
$20
door.
per block.
Yes, thank you. Like it was because by the time you do it too, you buy all that, the time you've spent, your time is worth money, like the time you spend doing it. So anyways, now I'm on a tangent, so please.
It's so true though. So I wanted to make sure that it was easy. So there is one weird ingredient that we use. It's agar powder, but it's easy to find in bulk. It's easy to find online. It's easy to work with. I didn't want to use carrageenan because it's been shown to have like tons of gut health problems when you use it. And it's been shown to be kind of problematic. So I was like, I don't want any of that. So I just want to use starches. Like we have a Parmesan recipe that is literally made out of potatoes. Okay. Our family style cheddar block, this recipe almost did me in forever because as a kid, I'm showing on the,
Looks
you guys are
so
watching.
good. Yeah.
So I was the kid who, would have the Costco size cheddar block at home in the 90s, like I loved cheddar and I wanted to have that vibe of like that huge cheddar block in the fridge that you can slice, you can shred, you can melt it. And
Put
so
it in that tortilla and melt it in the microwave. What? Who's doing that? Not me. Maybe me.
Right? Microwave quesadillas, like 90s core right there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just really wanted this to be also made from veggies. So like the first ingredients are yellow potatoes, garlic, cashews. Like I wanted it to be, there's carrot juice in it. Like I wanted it to be healthy too,
Yeah.
So it was challenging though. I almost scrapped the cheddar, and at the very last second, it came together after 40 tries. I'm not even exaggerating.
I know you're not. And thank you. I say thank you. And now I'm gonna make it. Because
Really
I feel after you're telling me about these things that I'm not gonna get sort of. There's like, here's the deal. When I've looked at a lot of cookbooks and a lot of recipes.
This is your thing.
And when I open up like a cheese one, I'm kind of like, I'm questioning it because I'm not understanding it. I'm like, I don't understand how all of that's coming together. But already with the items you've mentioned, I'm like, I feel like I have a better understanding already of it, right? And I think people who are just getting into it will have a better understanding of it too. So, and if you don't know agar yet, everybody, you will after you get into this, and you're gonna like the first
chapter. I talk all about it. Okay, there's 2 more cheese recipes I want to mention before we move on. The first one is goat cheese.
Wild that you did it. I'm impressed.
To be really real, I had to buy real goat cheese to taste it because I was like, this needs to be perfect. And it's perfect.
And I've given
it, it's perfect. Like, oh my God. And it's made with macadamia nuts. It's so good. And then this one. So one recipe makes a mozzarella block, mozzarella balls, and burrata cheese. And it's the same recipe. It's the same way to cook it over the stove, but how you set it changes the consistency of what happens to the cheese, basically.
Did you have a cheese? All 3 of those look amazing. And I love that you can create a base and then make one of the 3 variations out of it. So you can, because when you master then that foundation of it, you can then be like, oh, I really liked it as this, but now I want to try it this way, which is such a nice variation for people to have at home. And did you, when you were setting out to do like the cheese chapter specifically, had you had any cheese recipes in your arsenal that made it into this book? Or did you like really go to town, like recreating new recipes specifically for this chapter? Like, did you make all new cheese recipes, or did you have any that were tried and true in your repertoire?
So almost everything was brand new except the creamy gorgonzola. That was like something I've been making forever, and I just love it. And the mozzarella cheese was the base of a mozzarella cheese that I'd been making for a really long time. It's actually very similar to the mozzarella that's in the deep dish pizza of my first cookbook.
Got it.
But I wanted to use that same concept and that same base to make a block of mozzarella. And then I got transported back to this day in culinary school where we were setting mozzarella cheese balls on ice when I was making it. So I put the thing in a cheese mold, popped it in, and I was like, Steve, get a bowl of ice water. And he was like, why? What are you doing now? You know, I'm so unhinged to him. He never knows what I'm going to do next. So then we had leftovers, and I started setting the cheese in the ice water like you would for regular mozzarella or for burrata. And it worked perfectly. And I was like, this is amazing. This is what we have to do. And he was so perplexed by even the concept of this. And I don't even remember where I learned this from, but I just vividly remember being 18 in culinary school in my cheese making class being like, ice water. I remember there being ice water. Let's try. And it worked perfectly. And I just like loved it. So.
Oh, I love that. There's so much great stuff in this chapter. You mentioned that potato Parmesan and pepper jack cheese, young Gruyere in here, the Munster cheese. Can we take a minute of praise for the hot honey peach baked brie? Can you tell me a little bit about that before I'm like lingering on the cheese chapter because I'm just in awe.
One we can't live without after all.
Hello.
Yeah, everyone loves a baked brie, and you know, peaches were in season at the time when we made it. So I just was like, whatever. It shall be, exactly. But you can use any fruit on top of it. But I just wanted it to be a really simple thing because the same thing goes. You go to the store, you buy a brie, and you throw it in the oven. So I wanted it to be almost as simple as that, where you just throw a bunch of stuff in the blender. You cook it on the stovetop. It's a very similar style. Like there's similar styles of making cheese throughout. You can kind of see repeat techniques because I wanted people to get comfortable with the different techniques. And so that's a very similar technique as the mozzarella, but instead of setting it in the fridge, you throw it into the oven.
Nice. Such good stuff in here.
Yeah.
I mean, feta, y'all, she's got you with some feta in here, mascarpone cheese, paneer and panella and cotija, just all the things that you want and need when you are breaking up with dairy. And this takes us into, as sad as I am to move on from the cheese, the Get Sauce chapter. So to me, sauce can elevate anything. The sauce of the matter is so important, and you don't leave us hanging with a baked truffle mac. Now, is this the truffle mac that broke the internet then? Or
It's
is
not.
this okay?
That
That's
first
in your
one,
first book.
yeah.
Okay.
That's in the first book.
There we
So that
go.
was just the regular mac and cheese, but this is the truffle mac that I make for everyone.
Of
So
course.
I figured I had to get it in there. I love it. Yeah. So this one actually would work really well as a fondue too. That's all.
So good. Do you have a fondue recipe in here, or is that
No,
now we're
someone
saying?
asked me on Instagram yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, it's too late."
I mean, that's it. That's the one. But that's great. Now
That's the one, yeah.
you can say to people, "Hey, if you don't feel like having pasta, it's your fondue. It's right there."
Exactly. Just dunk some bread
Yeah.
in there and call it a day.
Yeah. So you got that baked truffle mac, hollandaise, and even vodka sauce with rigatoni. So let's say you're trying to wow someone who's breaking up with dairy. I know the answer would probably be that baked truffle mac, so I might need you to do a second here. But you're trying to wow someone breaking up with dairy. What's something you would serve to them from this chapter?
I think it depends on what they're into. So if you want to do something that's like creamy and delicious, the truffle mac is a really good one, but also the vodka sauce is so easy to make. It's so delicious. It really kind of makes you feel like you know what you're doing in the kitchen. It's such a simple recipe, which is nice.
Mhm.
And it uses the whole milk recipe, like the whole milk replacement recipe in there as well. So it's kind of 2-in-1, which I really love as well. And yeah, so the vodka sauce is really good, but also the guajillo sauce is incredible. I'm obsessed with it. It's got like almonds and guajillo chilies and dates and all sorts of good stuff in there. It's very like almost like Oaxacan. It's kind of giving that vibe. And so that would be really delicious if someone loves something a little bit more cultured or spicy or just a little more something. And that gets paired with the chili relleno later on in the book.
Oh gosh, delicious. What is this Barbie bechamel?
So it's one of my favorite recipes that I make all the time.
Okay.
And it just happens to be hot pink because I put beets in it.
Fantastic.
Makes it a little bit of a little sweet. The intro to that recipe is also one of my favorite recipe intros in the whole book, but it just talks about how like in Barbie's dream house, like you make the rules. And so it's the same when you're breaking up with dairy. So I really love that one because it's really nutritionally packed, but it tastes like a really delicious Alfredo sauce or a bechamel. You could use it as, a replacement for Hollandaise, even if you wanted.
So much good stuff. Again, homestyle gravy, tartar sauce, almost instant mango Greek yogurt, the butter block, spreadable butter, crema four ways, and then you got that Barbie bechamel in there as well. And this moves us into chapter 6, which is main meals worthy of a third date. Okay. And my goodness, are they worthy, with delicious items like raspberry horchata fluffy pancakes. What?
Which are gluten-free by nature.
Oh, come on. There we go.
For the gluten-free girlies out there.
Yes. Strawberry cheesecake, cream cheese Danish, passion fruit French toast, the grilled wedge with blue cheese dressing, broccoli cheddar soup, smoked maitake dumpling soup, chili rellenos, like you mentioned. What is something you might serve from here for a dinner party that will wow the crowd?
Wow, I don't even know where to start with that. Honestly, the French onion fungi soup is incredible. It has the pourable mozzarella on there, which is just the pourable mozzarella underneath the broiler, going back to the cheese, is so good.
That's okay. I think we will often go back to the cheese. I think that's what's meant to happen.
So that is the thing about the book. The first 3 chapters, the milk, the cheese, the sauce, get used throughout the second 3 chapters.
We got some foundational recipes in the first 3.
Exactly. So we keep going back and forth throughout the whole recipe because I really wanted it to be like that, where you're constantly using the things that you learned in the first 3 chapters to kind of build on that for the second 3. The chili rellenos, absolutely, for sure. That one is one of my absolute favorites, just personally. And the Rajas, the rainbow Rajas con crema is my favorite too. I mean, I live in San Diego. I spent most of my 20s traveling Mexico, so I have a very like Mexican leaning style of cooking. So that's why you see a lot of those recipes in here. But yeah, those are some of my favorites. And then finally, the burrata pesto sandwich is insane. It has a pistachio pesto in there, and it's so good.
I almost was, I was going to ask you about that if you didn't bring it up. And I just keep looking at this list too, because we got one pot Meyer lemon cacio pepe. Like, get
That's
into it.
It's so good. It went on the cover.
That's the one that's on the cover?
Yeah.
Let's hold up that cover again. Y'all, I don't have this hard copy yet, so let's take a look. There it is. Yes. We got lemon, poppy seeds, scallop, potatoes, linguine, and clams. So what's our clams in here with the linguine and clams?
We use trumpet mushrooms.
Ah, great. Perfect.
Yeah.
Love that.
So good. Love it. That was a dish that my mom made for me. Every Tuesday night or something growing up, and it was something I just had to put in the cookbook. That recipe is actually on my blog. That was like one of the few that made it from the blog to the cookbook. But yeah, I really needed to put that one on there, and you just gotta smother it in that potato parmesan. So good.
So does that parmesan, is it gradable, or how's that You're like, hell yeah, it's gradable, baby.
Yeah, gradable, meltable, sliceable.
Love it. We got creamy black garlic ramen in here, mushroom stroganoff, and fluffy potatoes. What's that about the ramen?
It's made with the black sesame seed milk. So it's just
great.
It's so good. I originally made it with the coconut milk, and I was about to send the final copy of the manuscript, and I was like, let's try it with the black sesame seed milk. It goes great both ways, but the black sesame seed milk is so unique, and it's so umami. And it just makes the broth like almost black. It's so pretty when you put the chili oil on it. And if you want to impress somebody, that recipe, they'll be like, how did you learn how to do this?
I love that. So good. Awesome. Homestyle squash pot pie too here is rounding things out, and I just always love seeing a pot pie in any book, and this one is done the Chef Bai way. Hey, and chapter 7 is called Life of the Party, featuring a lot of great appetizer foods. Say someone is having a book launch party, perhaps for your pub day today. What appetizers would you tell them to serve from this book for the party?
Well, it depends on if you're going to have what time of the day, but I really love the mini red pepper quiches are really delicious. And the air fried ricotta balls with the ratatouille sauce is really easy to make actually. And they're so yummy. The double truffle fries. Now I'm just going down the list because I have the book in front of me and
that's great.
They're double truffle. We need when you have a cocktail and you're out and about, what do you order? Truffle fries. You just have to.
Yeah.
So I wanted there to be truffle on the fries and in the sauce because there's, sometimes you just need a little bit of extra. And then I would probably say, let's see, I'm going through. It's funny you spend 2 years writing a book and then you forget what you wrote.
Your mind's just mush now. You're like, I know it happened. I know it's out there. It's okay. I'm warming you up for all the interviews to come. By the time you get to the other ones, you'll be like this, bing, bang, boom. It's great.
Exactly. I know. I need a good warm up. The fried goat cheese salad with white balsamic. That's incredible. You freeze the goat cheese for a little bit, you slice it, you toss it in panko, and then you sear it, and then it's warm. It reminds me, in San Francisco, I used to go to this place called Chez Maman, and it's this French restaurant where is it? Not in the Presidio. It's okay, but it's in San Francisco, and I used to go there and drink champagne by myself and just decompress and have this salad that had this fried goat cheese on it, and I will never forget just being in my early 20s and eating this salad. And I just wanted to recreate that vibe. And so this recipe recreates that vibe. That was a little, ode to my younger self. Yeah. And then another one that I really love is the, what I call the San Diego lobster roll.
Oh, so good.
That one's really good.
It's the San Diego lobster roll. What are you using for the lobster?
We use a mix of hearts of palm and king oyster mushrooms.
Nice.
And it's really nice because there's in the sauce chapter, there's crema 4 ways. So you can pick your base depending on your food allergies or if you want something high protein or something more indulgent. And then there's 2 flavors which you can pick. And one is the base special sauce, which is basically think chorizo in a creamy sauce.
Delicious.
And so that's what everything is tossed in the lobster roll is that special sauce because, we have our main lobster roll. We have our East Coast lobster roll. I was like, what would be a San Diego lobster roll? It had to have a chorizo kind of Mexican inspo to it. So that's really what this is. It's super unique, but it really gives the vibe of a buttery lobster roll at the same time. Yes. So I really like this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to throw out a few others here so people get a expansive look here at this chapter because I can't I'm like drooling over it here. Mozzarella sage garlic rolls,
Mm.
air fried ricotta balls with ratatouille sauce, mini red pepper quiches. You said that one. Mini red pepper quiches with olive oil oat crust. We've got crab potato cakes with tartar sauce, buffalo chicken dip, whipped feta with tomato garlic confit, and Neapolitan vodka caprese pizza. So y'all get into it. That is the life of the party chapter. You too can be the life of your party with some of those recipes.
Well, that is like, when you're breaking. So the chapters are also the phases of breaking up in a
Yes.
different way.
Yep.
So it's like, you're crying over things, crying over spilled milk, the one you can't live without, which is cheese. And then we have you're getting drunk. Everyone's getting drunk when they're in a breakup. So you're getting sauce. Maybe not everyone, but most people I know.
A good portion of people, yes.
I was.
Yes, I certainly have been too in the past in breakups. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you go out there and date, and then you're like finally ready to have a third date. You cook for someone. I would never cook for anyone before a third date. Honestly, you gotta prove that you're worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless I'm like I'm having like some magical unicorn moment where I'm like,
right.
oh,
Unless you're like, this is it.
Yeah.
I found the one. I don't
Yeah.
even need to. Yeah.
Yep.
And then we have life of the party, getting back into dating. And then the final recipe, the final chapter is The Sweetest Thing, which was named after my favorite rom-com in the world with Cameron Diaz. Love.
Did you see after 11 years of not making a movie, she has a new movie coming out?
No.
It's called Back in Action, oddly enough, but it's an action movie. And I was like, I'm not down for action movies, but I don't care because you haven't been in my face for 11 years. I've been watching The Sweetest Thing on repeat now for, 20 years. I'm like, so I will take this action movie and I will enjoy it. I will love every second of it.
The Sweetest Thing is such a classic. I watched it again the other day for the first time in like a year. And I just, because I lived in San Francisco, so I just felt so much nostalgia.
So you too been shaking your ass up and down that hill.
Literally me. I lived on top of a hill. Like it was a whole thing. So yeah, I really resonated.
I love that movie so much. Anyway, now I'm like, let's talk about The Sweetest Thing. Well, we're in The Sweetest Thing, which everybody, of course, is the sweets chapter, otherwise known as the Cameron Diaz chapter. What is a favorite sweet for you in this chapter?
I think for me, it's the staples. So like the oat chocolate sauce, so good. Whipped cream 2 ways, buttercream frosting. I think that's like a big thing with breaking up a dairy is those staples. It's like, how do I recreate that? I also really love the fudge popsicles, ice cream pops. Did you know that popsicle and creamsicle are trademarked by Nestle? So you can't use them.
The things you find out when writing a cookbook.
So it's supposed to be blood orange creamsicle milk, but I couldn't use it. So that's why it's called ice cream milk. But anyway, I digress.
No, I hear you. I had funfetti pancakes in my first book, and they were like, no, you can't do that. And I was like, but then someone else did it later in a cookbook. And I was like, but they did it.
Well, it depends on the publishing team,
Yeah. So they're rainbow sprinkle pancakes or something. Anyways.
Not as fun. But yeah, the fudge ice pops are actually really good because they're completely free of all the top allergens. And they're really good if you're a mom and because I feel like schools these days are so freaked about nuts and this working with, so I wanted to make it totally allergy friendly.
That's great.
It's made with oats as a base and it's really good. So I love that one.
I love that you've given some variations in this book for allergens because it's hard, especially when we're talking about the milk and cheese alternatives. So many people turn to things that are in the top 9 allergens. So it's good that you're giving some variations in here. I can't get my eyes off these peanut butter caramel swirl blondies. What are we doing there? What's our caramel made out of? What's happening?
So that's like a 2-in-1 recipe, which a lot of the recipes in here are 2-in-1. Like the milkshake has a cookie recipe in there. This one has a caramel sauce, which you can use all by itself, or you can use it with the blondies. You can even make the blondies without the caramel sauce. But I'm pretty sure, I'm like, what did I make the caramel sauce out of? Coconut sugar, which is my number one. I can't imagine I would make it out of anything else.
Yeah, that's delicious.
Yes, coconut sugar.
Oh, fantastic.
And I love coconut sugar because it's the most sustainable sugar out there.
I also I'm a mug cake freak because I love cake so much. And I'm always like, I will make a whole cake like I'm making just like cereal. Like I'll just be like a bowl of cereal. David will be like, oh, that cake looks good. And then he'll turn around. Our last home in Atlanta, the couch was like in front of us. Like he couldn't ever see what I was doing in the kitchen if he was just like reading a book or watching TV.
Yeah.
And he'd turn around and be like, "What did you do?" And I'd be like, "You said you wanted cake, and like I'll take any excuse to make cake. It just needs to cool, then we'll frost it. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Just eat a piece." But then we'd have a whole cake. So I have gotten into the art of mug cake. So I'm seeing a s'more mug cake here is my point of this long-winded story.
You're making me want to make it right now.
I'm probably going to make it tonight. So there's a s'more mug cake in here, everybody. So tell me a little bit more about it. What's going on inside of it? What we got?
The s'more mug cake was just like an ode to like anyone who gets the munchies and wants a cake but doesn't want to make a whole cake.
That's right.
So I just wanted something really simple that you could throw in the in the microwave. Let's be for real. The microwave. This is the only microwave recipe I've ever I would never put a microwave recipe in a cookbook, but here we are.
I know. Same. When I've gone down this mug cake path, I'm like, what am I doing? And then I'm like, it doesn't matter. I had one serving of cake and now there's not 12 slices in my fridge. Yeah.
What I love about the mug cakes is that they puff up and then they sink a little bit after they puff up in the microwave. And I think it's a perfect opportunity to add ice cream on top.
Absolutely.
So I do love the mug cakes. I think they're just so easy. And especially like, I don't know, if you have little kids or something and you want to get them involved in cooking, but you don't want it to be this whole ordeal, you can always make the mug cake together because it's just a couple tablespoons of this, a tablespoon of that. Like it's super easy to do. So, and for college students too, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm not going to end talking about the s'more mug cake, though I know it's outstanding and delicious. You've also gotten here so many great items for people to sink their teeth into. Black sesame, blackberry flan. You've got an almond French silk pie, this pistachio creme brulee, and vanilla nutmeg tres leches cake. Listeners, that is Breaking Up with Dairy. 100 indulgent plant-based recipes for cheese and butter, cream, and milk lovers everywhere. Chef Bai, it is time for your book brag. When it comes to this book, you're going to have so much in the coming year that you're so proud of when it comes to this book after it gets into the world and people are just blown away by it. But what's something in this moment that you're most proud of when it comes to this book?
Like contents in the book itself or just like the whole process?
Anything. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm just proud of myself, to be honest. I wrote the proposal in one weekend after just feeling inspired. After a few years, you know, I had a bad deal with my first publisher. I was very discouraged from writing another cookbook. And then I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. I found a literary agent. She loved the book and she doesn't love everything. She loved the book. And within 2 hours, she read the entire proposal and was like, let's sell this thing. I'm down. Like she believed in it so much. And so her belief in me really helped me believe in myself. And we went for it. We've invested everything into this book, like, you know, from just our time to our finances to everything. And I just am proud of, sometimes you just have to put all bets on yourself and the things that you believe in. And you know, what really shifted for me in my life and my professional career was making it not about myself and making it about the bigger picture and about, you know, wanting to make change in the world. So that's what I'm most proud of. And the photography, like my husband pretty much photographed the entire thing. He's not a photographer. So we, you know, just learned as we went. And it's just been really cool to see the evolution of, you know, us building something from the ground up. And this is the best work we've ever done. And I'm just so proud of it. So it's like the whole thing, you know, I'm just really excited to share it with everybody.
Oh, I love that. And I'm so happy for the two of you to have that together too, to have this thing come out into the world. That's so lovely.
Book, baby.
It's your book, baby. It's your book, baby, babe. Well, I love that. Congratulations. And we're going to move into your rapid fire round of questions. Are you ready?
I'm so excited. Yeah.
Here we go. Unlimited time or unlimited energy?
Energy.
Books or movies?
Movies. Says the author.
I think it's like one of my favorite times when I get to talk to you is like sometimes your reaction is like movies. Like, what is that question? And I'm like, yeah, I know, me too. I get it. Texting or calling?
Calling.
Quiet morning walk or late night stroll?
Ooh, I mean, I love a late night stroll, but there's a lot of coyotes in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with the morning walk.
Heard. But they're out in the morning too.
I know. I just saw a pack of coyotes run in my backyard. the other day. A pack of them. Stressful.
What's the mountain in LA with the Hollywood sign? I don't know. I came walking down. Yes, I came walking down. And after all these different visits I've had to LA over the years, I never walked up to the Hollywood sign. I had to go there for something a couple years ago, and I got there a day early, and I was like, I'm going to do it. So I go, I come down, the sun is setting, and I see 3 coyotes that they're so peaceful. Like, they're just staring at me like, what's up, bro? And I'm like, no, what do I need to do right now? Do I need to run? Do I need to walk? Do I need to? And they're just like,
They
no, we're
won't mess
just
with you unless you have a small child or a small dog.
or small animal. Yeah, that's what I learned that in Atlanta because they would run past our condo all the time. So I like look stuff up. And thankfully I had to look that up, but I still had just this moment of like, do I need to like do because I was walking in my car and they were just like chilling, like feet away from me.
The ones you should be afraid of are the ones that aren't afraid of you.
Yeah. But it was wild. So anyway, again, tangent.
Side quest.
Coyotes. Camping or glamping?
Glamping, like leaning, very hard leaning on the glamping.
Yep.
No glamping, hotel.
Yeah. You mean there's a hotel down the street where y'all will be camping? That's where
we're gonna go for a hike in the morning. Perfect.
Yeah, great. I will be here and I will have taken a shower, unlike the rest of you.
Yeah, that's me.
Beach sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Sweet or salty snack?
Salty.
Same meal every day or never repeat a meal?
Never repeat a meal.
Solo brainstorming or group collaboration?
Solo brainstorming. I'm such a control freak. I'm really working on it.
It's same. I like solo brainstorming, and then once I sort of get my grasp
That's
of
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Then I can share.
And then I'm fine with making adjustments usually too. Like if it's a good collaborative team, I'm like, great, let's all make this better together then. But I need to get like when there's too many people in the initial like factory, I'm like, I can't focus.
Well, then I just freeze and I can't be creative and I just need a little
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Work in silence or with background noise?
I literally had friends on the entire time I wrote this book in the background.
I love that for you very much.
ADHD is really needs a little something to focus on.
My second book, I had Britney Spears and Fifth Harmony playing the entire time. Like I think and my favorite murder podcast. I think I might have thanked them in my liner notes like it's an album and my acknowledgments.
Jen Aniston.
Yep. I was like, thank you so much for making me not lose my mind when I was testing that thing for the 18th time. Do you prefer a big party or a small gathering?
A big party.
Okay. And your last one here, plane travel or road trip?
Road trip because I can bring my dogs.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. You did it. Chef Bai, where can everyone find you on social media and the internet?
So everyone can find me at chef_Bai on TikTok and Instagram. Hopefully by the time this is out, TikTok is still a thing. And YouTube is Chef Bai as well. I'm also now on Substack, which I'm very excited about.
Great.
Yeah, we changed our entire blog over to Substack. So you can still see all the recipes on my blog from before. But we just heard a lot of, feedback from our audience wanting ad-free recipes. So yeah, we're on Substack now. It's $8 a month to get like unlimited access to all of our recipes ad-free, which is awesome. And we also do, if you just want to be a free subscriber, you can get 1 recipe a month, which is fun too. So there's that. We're also going on a book tour.
Hey, I was just going to say, where can people see you in real life, honey?
IRL.
Yeah, we got a book tour happening. Tell us more about it.
We are going on book tour. I'm so excited. So we're starting in New York City. So we're going to be signing books all throughout New York City. So I'll put everyone on a little like goose chase there. But then on, I think the 13th, you have to go to my website or my Instagram to get the exact dates because I might be messing it up. But the 12th, we're going to be in Brooklyn doing a little takeover of this wine bar called With Others. So we'll be there. And then we're going to be in Chicago the next day. And then we're doing a big San Diego launch party on the 15th, which is really fun. So if you're in LA or San Diego, you got to come out. We're going to have an open house during the day and then a VIP thing at night. So you can come to either one. And then we're going to be up in San Francisco during President's Day. So that's going to be really fun on that Monday. And Then we're going to do Denver on the 21st, Denver, Boulder, and then Austin on the 23rd.
Oh my goodness. You are going to hit some great places. You're going
I'm
to eat
super
some
excited.
great food, meet some great people, and
Yeah.
just have a great time. That sounds like a great book tour. Do you know where you're going to be in Chicago?
I don't.
Okay. All right.
I don't
Well,
yet. Well, we're pre-recording this, so
yes. Yeah, yeah,
by
yeah,
the
yeah,
time
yeah.
you're listening to this, I do know where I'm going to be in Chicago.
By the time this is out, everybody, so here's what's up. There will be a whole tour schedule that you
Yes,
will have released at
exactly.
this
It's going
point.
to
So
be at like a cute bookstore, kind
yeah,
of like cafe, because we're only going to be in Chicago for probably like 18 hours. We're probably
right.
going to fly in that morning and fly out that night on the red eye probably. So it's going to be really quick, but we
You're
wanted
making it happen, essentially.
we're making it happen. Where do you
Yeah.
live?
I'm in Chicago.
Oh, you
Yeah.
have to come.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, yeah,
That's what I
perfect.
was asking. I was like, where are you gonna
Oh my
be?
God,
Well,
you have to come. We have to talk
yeah.
about this after.
Yeah, we will. We will. Yep, for sure. For sure. Well, so everyone, make sure you're paying attention and follow Chef Bai everywhere that you're able to, so you can see where you can meet her on this fabulous book tour and get your hands on a copy of Breaking Up with Dairy 100 Indulgent Plant-Based Recipes for Cheese and Butter, Cream, and Milk. Lovers everywhere. You can get it everywhere books are sold. And Chef Bai, thank you for being a guest on Keep on Cooking again. And hey, happy Pub Day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's always so fun hanging out. I wish we could hang out in person.
Thank you so much for listening. We'd be so grateful if you would rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. It really does help us.
Yes, thank you so much. And don't forget to check out keeponcooking.com for all of the latest in recipes and Keep On Cooking updates. This has been a Muzzy Cat production.